So yeah, guys, today is not the happiest video, but yeah, like as you guys can see, we've got the K&N cold air filter all boxed back up. I installed it. I drove around with it for a week, or like 8 or 9 days or something like that, and just the truck just did not run well. It seemed like there was a big lag in throttle response. It was like every time I accelerated, there was like this long pause where like the intake was trying to like suck in all this air or something like that. I mean, I'll make a more in-depth video explaining everything that I didn't like about it and how it made my truck run in another video, but this video is basically just going to be about me reinstalling the stock air intake on my 2006 Ford F-150. Hopefully you guys like it. If you have any comments, leave those down below, and I'll do my best to answer any of your questions that you guys have. Like I said, I'm gonna make a more in-depth video about what I didn't like about the K&N aftermarket cold air intake and everything like that. But this video is mostly just gonna be about how to install the stock air intake system on the truck. It has the 5.4 liter Triton V8 3-valve as well before we get started. But yeah, hopefully you guys like the video. Like I said earlier, if you guys have any questions, leave them below. Thanks. Hey, what's going on YouTube? So just recently, about a week and a half ago, I installed this K&N cold air intake on my Ford F-150. It's a 2006. It's got the 5.4 liter Triton V8 in it, and needless to say, it just did not live up to the hype, so that's why it's in several different parts everywhere. I'm going to be reattaching the stock air intake system back on the truck, and I figured this would be a good opportunity to walk you guys through how to do that in case some of you need to like replace some parts on it or just straight up don't know how to do it at all. So this is what your engine bay will look like without anything in it. Obviously the obviously, geez, why can't I talk right now? Honestly, I'm a little frustrated right now because I got rear-ended while parked over here by that doucher over there in the white Chevrolet. So yeah, okay, so as I was saying, this is your throttle body. Obviously your throttle body is in here, but none of the actual like air intake housing is in here at all. So this is your throttle body right over here. I've still got to put the 10mm bolts back in here, start plugging everything back in. So if you're starting completely from scratch without any air housing boxing in it, this is what your engine bay will look like. We'll just call this step 1. Step 2, you've got these 10mm bolts. There's 4, it'll go 1, 2, and then the back corners you've got 3 and 4 back there. So step 1 will really be just plugging all these back in and reattaching your throttle body back to where it was originally. Okay, so this is what your stock air intake box and gear will look like if you've got a 2006 or 04 to 08 F-150 with 3-valve 5.4 liter V8 Triton in it. So what you're going to need to do is you've got these guys right here. This is where you're going to need a 10mm deep socket. I've got one of these right here. So you're just going to need to take these guys out because they're going to be attaching this actual housing through these 4 openings right here. So these 4 10mm sockets over there are going to come out, and then this box is going to go over there, and then obviously you'll just drop the bolts right back in. Alright, once you've got your super old dusty box reattached using the 10mm bolts that we talked about, you've got some stuff that needs to get plugged back in. This guy will plug into this guy over here in the corner. Set it back in, push the red tab down. This is going to be your crankcase tubing if you're like me and you installed the one that... Okay, dude. Okay, so now that that unfortunate situation is over, getting back into for the second time. It's always fun. Okay, so just take your, because obviously you have to send back whatever stuff that K&N sent you. So hopefully you held on to all of your original parts. I believe this is like your crankcase tubing or whatever. So you've got, it'll plug into right there on the bottom, and then attached to your actual housing for your air inbox, it'll go right over there. So just one end plugs into right there, the other end plugs into right here. Okay, so after you've got everything all hooked up over there, you're going to need to reinstall your mass airflow sensor. This is it right here. Now, a very common problem I see with these things is that they get installed upside down. I see those in the comment section all the time in YouTube. So what will happen if you install it upside down is that it'll allow your truck to start for the most part, but then it'll run for like 1 or 2 seconds and then it'll shut off. So the easiest way to be able to tell if you've installed it upside down or not is which direction this red tab right here is facing. So if it's facing when you plug it back in after the mass airflow sensor is installed, when you plug it back in, if the red tab is facing up, then you know you've installed it correctly. If you have to flip it upside down to where the red tab is on the bottom, then you know you've installed it upside down. And I forgot to mention this earlier, but there is one other item that you have to plug back in the back area right over here, right back to the throttle body. This is going to be the opposite of the mass airflow sensor in that the red tab needs to be on the bottom of that little guy right there. As you can see, it's black on top, there's a red tab on the bottom. So after you've hooked that back up and made sure everything is plugged back in, just go ahead and put the 10mm bolt back into this little stability bracket type deal right here. Actually, I think it's called a support bracket, but yeah, 10mm bolt just goes right back in there. You can still use the deep socket that you used over there if you want, or you can switch over to a normal 10mm socket to screw this guy back in. Either one will work. All right, and after everything is nice and secure, you know that everything is plugged in. Now the only thing to do is just go give it a start. So we'll close that. There it is, folks. Should start right up just like that. Yep, everything is working just as it should be.